Hello everyone and welcome back to another review on the most recent game I beat, which is Stray, a 2022 release developed by Blue 12 Studios and published by Annapurna Interactive, I think that's how you pronounce it, which is becoming a very interesting publisher with popular titles such as Outer Wilds and Sayonara Wild Hearts under their publishing belt. So yeah, props to them for identifying these great games. So I beat this game on the PlayStation 5 as I took advantage of this game being included under the PlayStation Plus Premium tier and being a day one release actually. So I would have not bought this game on day one, so it was nice seeing this game being offered for that service, which is slowly trying to rival Game Pass, but you know, it's nowhere near as good obviously, but it's a good start, you know, to offer games like Stray available for, you know, or included in the service from day one. So Stray is only available on PS4, PS5 and Steam, so I guess there is some sort of timed exclusivity when it comes to a console release, so Xbox and Nintendo fans will have to wait a little bit before this game is available. It's available in those platforms. Now, when Stray was first shown in trailers at some sort of event, I can't remember, but it might have been a State of Play event. It caught my attention briefly, but I thought that this game was going to try to bank on the quote-unquote meme aspect of cats, which have been the paramount pet of choice and entertainment ever since the internet became a thing. So for whatever reason, I thought, you know, this was going to be more of a goat simulator type of game that focused on performing, you know, silly things with cats and all you know, things like that. But I was pleasantly surprised when I finally played the game, since I encountered a very interesting story and setting that in many ways eclipsed the cat meme aspect that I was expecting to see from this game. So in terms of the story, as usual, I will be avoiding spoilers and just giving a brief overview and my thoughts. The game starts with your protagonist, a stray cat, just minding his own business with other stray cats in what it appears to be some sort of abandoned water dam facility. The group of cats then make their way around the abandoned facility to search for food or whatever they're after. And in this section kind of serves as some sort of tutorial early in the game, you know, teaching you the basic moves and controls. At the end of the section, your cat gets in trouble. He loses balance when they're, you know, jumping through some pipes, and falls to an underground section where trash is collected. And soon thereafter, after recovering from the fall wounds, the cat makes its way to a mysterious city that's kind of like underground beneath these abandoned facility that the game starts with. This city has a cyberpunk theme to it, but oddly enough, it's deserted without any apparent humans or living creatures in the city. However, you do see signs of life via cyberpunk-esque neon signs that have messages that say like help or, you know, go this way. And, you know, even arrows that sort of guide you in a mysterious way and create intrigue in the player to find out what's going on and who is controlling these signs. You soon then run into one of the enemy types in the game called the Zergs, which are organisms that can literally chew through anything that moves. So after escaping the Zergs, you make your way into a lab where, after solving some puzzles, you unlock your AI partner in the game called B12. Who is a drone that states that he is looking for a scientist that he used to work with. B12 is then carried into the cat's back as kind of like a backpack, you know, that your stray cat has, and will serve as the cat's companion throughout the game. Think of Navi type of companion, like in Ocarina of Time, you know, Zelda. So that's pretty cool. Later, you finally encounter some life in this underground city in the form of robots that seem to be very advanced, since they can communicate and express feelings. Even you're able to communicate with them via your companion B12, and I think that's about as much info as I want to give without delving into spoilers. But my overall thoughts are that the story is very solid and is one of the strongest, if not the strongest, point of the game. At least for me personally. You're basically trying to accomplish a few things throughout the story of the game. Mainly, you're trying to reunite with the Clouder that you separated at the beginning of the game. You are learning more about the underground city, its inhabitants, and your drone companion B12. So you're learning about the mysterious nature of the Zergs as well. And also, what happened to mankind and why are they absent from this underground city? Because the game gives, hints that, there was human life there. So lots of interesting points that slowly unfold as you progress through the game and just keep the player hooked to keep playing the game. Graphically, this game surprised me since it has a really good amount of detail. I don't know if this should be categorized as an indie game. I guess high-budget indie games also have their own place these days, and people call them AAA games. So this is something that perhaps fits that category. The underground city has cyberpunk vibes and features a good mix of nooks, crannies, alleyways that have plenty of objects such as trash bins, AC mechanical units, boxes, and other building features that have plenty of details in them and feature high resolution textures that, combined with good lighting effects from things like neon and fluorescent lights, create a very good looking game and environment. This game has a lot of verticality, and so the details don't just stop at the quote-unquote ground level, but are also taken all the way to the rooftops and higher ground floors of buildings and other structures. So props to the developer for doing this. Graphics are good throughout the different environments in the game, which include cities, city sections, sewer sections, interior of buildings, and other environments. The overall character and art direction are also very good, with unique robot NPCs that have their own styles in terms of body structure and even clothing as well as facial animations via a computer screen in lieu of regular faces, which I thought was a funny way of conveying the emotions out of the NPCs. The performance of the game was great, no surprises here since I played the PlayStation 5 version. And then sound-wise, moving to the sound of the game, this game doesn't have voice acting, but it does feature mumblings, kind of like Animal Crossing when the robot NPCs talk. The soundtrack, I thought it was fairly good and appropriate for the game. And now moving into the gameplay, which is another area where the game shines in my opinion. You have to use cat skills basically to avoid enemies like the Zergs, including your cat's speed, jumping, stealth, and crawling through tight spaces. These same abilities are used for exploration, and as mentioned before, this game has a very big vertical exploration component, which is not super typical in games in general, but is perfectly suited for this game. Your cat is agile and swift, and therefore exploration is fun, and with an almost seamless platforming vibe to it. And even though the game is not fully open world, there are enough small open areas in certain sections of the game that make exploration fun and intriguing. So there are some city sections that are kind of act like a mini hubs in between main missions, and these are areas where you can do different side missions and side quests, fetch quests for the NPCs and whatnot. And this is kind of like the quote-unquote mini open world vibe that the game gives you in terms of exploration, which I thought it was pretty fun and cool. The overall gameplay, though, I guess can be summarized in a couple of different components. You have exploration/platforming sections. You have some puzzle solving sprinkled here and there throughout the game, some stealth segments, and even some combat segments as well. You temporarily acquire even weapons at one point in the game, so that's pretty cool. Puzzles are not very complicated and fairly straightforward, and therefore never really get in the way of impeding progression for the player, which is a nice touch for a shorter game like this one. Now, despite the easy nature of the puzzles, they are still fun to solve, and there is a slight sense of reward figuring them out. There's also a nice variety in terms of sceneries that change as much as they can considering the setting of the game. But all I can say is that each new area is fun to explore, and there are always excuses to spend time in them instead of just bustling through the main goal to beat the game. There are collectibles that are somewhat important to get since they help unlock memories and more information about the game's world. So I personally found most of the collectibles in the game without using a guide, but did not bother going back and getting them all, at least at the time of recording this video. In terms of difficulty, the game is fairly easy. There are not many challenging sections in the game, and even if you happen to die, the checkpoints are fairly frequent. But that's okay in my opinion. I've always said this in my channel, that difficulty can be a nice bonus in certain games, but it's not a necessity to make a good game, and Stray is a proof of this concept. So overall, I had a good time with Stray. The story is surprisingly intriguing and kept me interested in the game all the way to the end, although I have to say that not all of my concerns or questions were answered the way I was hoping, but oh well, you know, you can't win them all. So in conclusion, the strength of the story combined with good graphics and gameplay make up for a very fun game that's definitely worth checking out, either now or maybe perhaps you want to wait for a future sale, but it's definitely worth checking out, you know, this game. So that's it for now. Hopefully you all enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and I will see you all later. Take it easy.